a small biz pro, and so we grow. Using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Christo
and your coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And today, folks, we're gonna have a great show. Don't have any guests on the show today, but we're gonna have class in session.
You know what that means? Class in session.
Class in session, guys. So you're gonna learn some stuff here for your business today. So we're looking forward to this. This is
Hey,
exciting.
Fernando, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, you're going to get Gilbert and I and some of our coaching session and coaching tips and nuggets that we're going to share with you. Just going to have a good time this month with a number of other things going on this month, but it is National Small Business Month. And so we're going to talk about that. In addition to that, obviously, is the month of Mother's Day, which is next Sunday. It's National Crystal's birthday month.
That's right. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
So National Crystal's birth month.
And folks, that's a national holiday. Don't you ever forget that.
National holiday. And then we also it's also Mental Health Month. So we want you guys to think about making sure you take care of self. And it's important as small business owners. I'm gonna tell you, because I will say this, Gilbert. I have the first 3 months of this year. No, let me take that back. The first 4 months of this year, I worked like a Georgia mule, as they say. I was exhausted. And so finally, I feel like I've gotten some rest.
Yep. It's about time.
Yeah. So I'm going to say you definitely have to take out time for self.
Right.
It's so very important. So,
Right.
Mental health is exceptionally important to those of us that are in the small business world, because we tend to work so hard as entrepreneurs that we forget about self. We put all our time and energy into taking care of everyone else, that we usually put ourselves on the back burner and work ourselves down to the nubs, and we have nothing left over for self.
We take care of ourselves last, man, and that shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be. So as part of the National Mental Health Month, I think we should really be taking care of self as well. It's important.
That's right. Right. You know how you know that this is meant to be?
What's that?
You see how when you get really tired and then you take a nap and you fall asleep for at least 8 hours, how good that makes you feel? Your brain is functioning at a high level. You feel energized. That's how you know this thing is right. Because if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't have felt so good.
Right, exactly. And for those of us that, I consider entrepreneurs and small business owners, especially entrepreneurs, I consider us to be very creative people, right?
Yeah.
Because you're always trying to, first of all, as an entrepreneur, you're creating something out of nothing, right?
Yeah.
So you could be sitting there going, okay, how do I do this? And you get creative, right?
Yes.
You just get really, really creative. And then, but when you're exhausted, you can't create nothing.
That's true. You can't even think.
You can't even think. Right? Something just simple, something that you do every single day. You're like, how do I do that?
Sometimes you even forget your name. You forget your own name, and you go, "How can I forget that?"
Right, exactly. I was telling somebody, I was like, "Dang, I don't even know if I can remember all my own business partner. I couldn't even remember Gilbert's name one day. Like, what's that guy's name that I work with?"
See, co-host, I've been telling you this for the longest time, man, that when you get super tired, you don't remember anything. And you see, it's proven. You couldn't even remember my name.
Yeah, right. And I see you every week. So, I mean, you the last person I should be forgetting, right? So, that's when you know you're tired, when you can't even think of your business
Oh, that
partner.
is
What's his name? What's his name?
hilarious.
Well, Lord have mercy, Jesus. You know you are tired.
So you're asking your sister, hey, what's the name of that guy I work with
Yeah,
again?
right. What's his name? What's his name? You know what's his name?
Yeah, that guy, the black one.
Right, exactly. The guy I do the podcast with, right?
I love it.
Like, wait, isn't he your business partner? Oh yeah, I know, but I can't think of his name. My brain is tight. And so she was saying, I was worried about you because you weren't smiling. I was tired. So
Man.
I'm telling everybody, take out time. Fernando, I know you've gotten to that place sometimes. You got to take out time for self, and
That's
you shouldn't
right.
feel guilty about that because
No,
you
no.
have to be able to take out time to take out time for self so that you can so you can continue to be creative in what you do.
The guiltiest time for me is during like midday, 1 o'clock, when I'm really tired and I feel like taking a nap, but I'm going, man, I can't take a nap. I still have these client stuff to take care of, and I'm only doing myself a disservice because it's only going to make me more tired
Right,
and
just go.
forgetful.
Right, exactly. And we don't really you don't, and you work crazy hours anyway. So I
Yeah.
say just take out time for yourself. Go to the, this week it took me all this week just to get to the supermarket. I didn't have
Yeah.
stuff that I needed. So yeah, take out time. Fernando says I have to take some time as they call it. Yes, you have to take me time. Yeah, me time, because you forget that you're supposed to do that, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yes.
man. So we're a living testimonial to that. So for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We are super consultants, business coaches. We own our own business. We're entrepreneurs. We help small businesses to become business ready, contract ready, loan ready, and certification ready. So just want to let you guys know that we're pretty unique. I haven't seen anyone like us in the marketplace. I'm sure there are folks, somewhere in some corner doing something, but we haven't seen them on the scene in the marketplace yet. So as far as we know, we claim that space. We are the ones who are running things right now. We're running the small business space right now until somebody pops up and decide to
Well,
let us
at
know
least in
about
our
it.
little niche of the corner of the earth, man. So we
Yeah.
gonna claim it in our little niche of the corner of the earth.
Claim it.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
So
Guess
tell
what?
tell them how to register, co-host. Tell
Oh,
them
so
how to
guys,
subscribe.
you can subscribe to us. You can go on over to our YouTube channel there and hit that subscribe button so you can scan our code. But you can go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert and hit that. And every time we go on air and we go live, you can hit the subscribe button and you'll get notification. We have been on air this year in July. We have been on air for 7 years.
7.
7 years now. That is pretty remarkable in the
Yep.
podcasting world. And
Yeah.
we have been consistent every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock
That's right.
because it takes a lot to be ready with content every single week.
Yeah.
Whether it is with a guest or just plain content that you come up with yourself, and to be consistent and to be there. And so I have to pat ourselves on the back because we have
Mm-hmm.
been there. We have been there, and people will tell you that it's not easy to podcast because podcasting is really not. We're working on that now is to start to monetizing, but basically we're doing this because for Gilbert and I, it has been part of our business practice is to share the knowledge that we have because that's kind of what we do. We want to make sure we're committed to the business community, making sure you guys are business ready and bank loan ready and contract ready.
That's
We
right.
want you to just be ready when an opportunity present itself, not getting ready, but but already ready. And today I had all week, It's interesting. Sometimes you're absolutely exhausted at what you do because we're always giving. I can see how, as if you were a psychologist, sometimes you're exhausted because you give so much of yourself to everyone, right?
Yes.
But and so I can see how they're exhausted. But every now and then you have someone that will call you and make you feel that this is why it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
So I have had a couple of those experiences today, this week. So I'm going to share one of those with you guys. I'm going to share my screen right here. And so this is one of those reasons why I enjoy what I do. So those three little human beings right there, they won the competition last week, Gilbert.
Last week?
Yes, they
Holy
won.
moly.
The two in the middle won two first places. So Journey Artist, she won first place for she won first place for the teens in her category. And then Miss Salona, she won first place for the middle schoolers. This is a citywide competition and YEC. And so I was just so excited for them. And then Mr. Raymond, he won second place in the high schoolers. So
Mm.
those are my what do I call them?
You're
My
young
young
entrepreneurs.
entrepreneurs. Yeah, I'm just so excited about them.
Superstars.
Superstars. So citywide, they came in and we did what we do every year. So
Hey, congratulations, young entrepreneur superstars. That's what we do.
right.
We promote you guys, we elevate you guys, we put you guys on a pedestal because what we want at the end of the day is for you guys to become self-sufficient and become employers, employing people in the community, not working for the man.
Right, exactly. So super, super, super jazzed about this with these young people. They were
So
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 excited.
Journey came in first.
Journey came in first in the teen
Oh man.
category, and Mr. And Journey has a product based business with healthy messages for teens, and Mr. Raymond Gravely, he actually has nostalgia candy for those of us that are a certain age, the baby boomers that like.
Yes.
He has a bulk candy, and so his business is called Sugar Rays.
Mm.
So a very, very clever, talented young man. And then Salona has a vegan dessert pastry. So very
Mm.
proud of these young people.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
we were at a facility downtown called the Beehive. It's a new platform, a place. It's like 92,000 square feet downtown
Yeah.
LA in the heart
Right.
of, like, on Central Avenue. Saw
Yeah.
Victor Parker.
Oh,
He
yes.
he flew in to be a judge, and
Right.
the new CEO of Vermont Slauson, Mr.
Yes.
Quentin Strode, he was
Yeah.
there, and Jan Parrish, she was a judge, and
Oh, wow.
the VP or the VP from Union Bank, and that's a Union Bank sponsored
That's
program.
amazing,
Yeah,
man. I'm proud of you, co-host.
yeah.
Not like I didn't know you couldn't do it. I I know you can, and you've always been doing it. But I just want to give you your flowers. Much respect
Thank you,
for you.
thank you,
Much
thank you, thank you.
for you and Miss Rhonda.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Miss Rhonda, we did our thing. So we will be doing we're starting to recruit for our summer program, Biz Camp 2023. It's gonna be live this year.
Yeah.
So our 50 kids that we will be teaching throughout the month of June and July. So we've started recruitment already and looking forward to that as well. So that is
Mm.
what makes thank you, Greg. Mr. Greg, our
Our streets correspondent.
yeah, he's here. So that was one of my highlights for this past week. And another
That's
high,
amazing.
yeah, and another one I had was a young lady that I'm helping. She has a bakery business, and she called me today, and I worked with her yesterday on setting up her QuickBooks. And today, I guess she just was feeling a little bit emotional. She's applying for some grants, and she
Uh-huh.
just didn't really know how to, how they they ask you on those grant applications, why are you applying for these grants? What's your
Right.
powerful why? And
Yeah.
she didn't really know how to phrase the or you know phrase the reason why. But then
Yeah.
she started telling me her story and how she basically, out of her entire family, is the only one that is really has made it, right, or really trying to make something of herself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just bringing tears to my eyes. And then she was like, and I'm just so happy that you're part of my team and you're really helping me, and I wish I had met you, years ago, and I didn't know people were out there to help businesses, really achieve their goals. And I was like, okay, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Okay, I can keep doing
Definitely.
this, right?
Definitely, man. See, no amount of money that they pay us can make us feel as good as those results. I mean, even though the money will, take care of some stuff for us, just this joy and adoration that is presented by these participants, man. I tell you, it's just phenomenal.
And you get that. Like yesterday, I was doing a class, and someone came on and she says, "I didn't know you were the Crystal that's the partner of Gilbert." I said, "Yeah, I
Oh,
am." She goes,
really?
"Oh my God, he's amazing." I said, she goes, "I never knew that." And you obviously taught a class at Vermont Slauson, and she
Yeah.
goes, "Oh my God." So when she introduced me, she goes, "She's the Gilbert's partner."
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. See, that's what we like. We like it when our work speaks for itself. We don't have to say anything. We don't have to introduce ourselves. Other people introduce us because they know our work.
Right, exactly. So see, there you go, Gilbert. You do your thing, and folks be going, "Oh, okay, she's good." Just simply because I'm associated with you.
That's right, man. That's right. That's amazing. Man, I can't wait, co-host. I can't wait for us to build our institution and just keep cranking out successful entrepreneur one at a time, man. That's what I can't wait for.
Yeah, I
You
know, I
know.
know, I know. But yeah, that's why we do what we do, guys. So
Yeah, we need we
excited.
need we need that funding, so we can just set it up. They don't necessarily have to pay a whole lot, but you know how it is. They have to at least put some sweat into it,
Yeah.
so it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, so that's it. So Greg says a good topic is how to deal with difficult clients.
Yeah.
Greg, there always will be that difficult client, but that's what these type of clients here kind of offset those difficult clients. When I get this kind of client, it's like I forget about that difficult client. I was like, oh yeah, that one over there. But then I relish in that one that's like, oh, I so appreciate you. I would just want you to be there. And I couldn't have gotten there without you. And
Yeah,
you're really part of my team. Thank you so much. That just makes up for that
for
difficult one
sure, for
that feels
sure.
that they owe you owe them something.
Yeah, yeah. That is true, man. That is true. And
So
that's
that
why we do what we do here on the Business Zone, folks. If you've never heard of us before, now you're hearing about us. And if you don't know, now you know.
right.
Go tell somebody. We're here to help small
All right.
businesses become business ready, contract ready, bank loan ready, certification ready,
Right.
so they can be successful.
Well,
That's
that's
what we
like Andrea. Was it Andrea? Is it Andrea or Adria?
Which one?
Last week that was on last week that got
Oh, Andrea. Yeah,
Andrea. Yeah, she
Andrea.
was so excited, and she
Yeah.
she attributes a lot of that to you.
Yeah, she's
She's so happy
phenomenal.
to have you
She's
part of
phenomenal.
her team. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
I was telling someone about her this week, man. And it's just phenomenal to share that kind of success and story about one of our participants.
Yeah, yeah. So how was your week?
Oh man, my week was it was mixed. I think I had two classes I did. I did a class on Tuesday on certifications for Vermont Slauson. There were probably about 12 participants in the class, but we went over the certification readiness assessment live on Small Biz Pro.
Okay.
So they were able to get their score and see where they are. And then based on that, I told them how to go about the certification process, what documents they need to have to be ready. And, I didn't want to tell them that they weren't ready. I wanted them to figure it out for themselves. So after they have taken the assessment and see what their scores were, they said, "Oh my Lord, I'm not even ready for this yet. I need to do this. I say, yep, that's what I've been saying, but I didn't want to tell you guys. I want you guys to figure it out yourselves." So now they're busy, doing all this homework, trying to make sure they get all their documents in place. So that's pretty neat.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I did two classes. Oh my God, I took off last week and this week I did a class. Well, we had our first Edison class.
Oh, you
Uh
did?
yeah, the first Edison class since
How
2019.
was it? How
It
was
was
it?
pretty good. We had a lady, her name is Marianne Ellis. I don't know if you know her. She does a what does she do? I guess she's revenue, and she
Uh-huh.
did a class it was actually pretty cool.
Oh
It was
yeah.
very interactive, and she had a workbook, and she had each one of us go through, and she said in 5 years, if you had positioned your business and you were going to have a headline in and no, yeah, if you were going to have a headline in a magazine, what magazine or newspaper, what magazine would it be,
And
and
what would the headline
what
be,
would
right?
the headline be, right?
I've done that in my master's class, man. That's
Okay.
amazing. I love that. I love that
Right,
because you know what? Whatever topic whatever headline you chose, right?
right.
Now you're gonna have to put in the work to try to get your business to that level so it matches that headline. So I love it.
Right,
I love
exactly. And the people that
it.
were on there, like, oh my God. And some of
Yeah.
them really, really mad. And guess who showed up?
Who?
Zarian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say his name, but I said no. That's like out of left field. I'm not gonna say it. He
No,
showed up.
Zarian showed up in
I
his truck.
I am impressed.
Zarian showed up in his truck. He was on his way to Oregon, and he said that his headline, whatever the magazine for actually, his goal is he's using his logistic business in
Yeah.
order to fund his his production company, right?
Yes. Yes.
So he
Yes.
wanted to be on whatever the publication for them, but he wants to have a fleet of trucks
Yes. Yes. And
uh,
drivers driving for him,
and
right?
drivers driving for him. So he had a big vision, man, big vision.
I
And we
love
had
it.
a number of other individuals that had a big Yeshiva was on.
Oh
And
yeah,
so, yeah, so she wanted to be on Forbes magazine,
that's
and she
good.
wanted to be bought out by LinkedIn for
Oh
a
wow,
program that she wants to develop. So yeah, it was actually pretty cool.
that's
So
amazing.
I had that, and then I taught a QuickBooks class for the new Women's Business Center, and then later on that evening, I taught a bookkeeping and risk compliance for the Urban League, and then the next day, I taught another QuickBooks class for
Oh
Vermont
man,
Slauson.
you were occupied.
I was a teaching machine this week.
That's That's amazing. That
Yeah,
is
so
amazing.
but yeah, so that was my week. It was super, it was a teaching week.
So, folks, for those of you who are just tuning in, hearing all these great stories, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and this is Small Business Month. So, guess what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about the history of small business today. So, we're going to have a lot of information that we're putting out there for you guys to pick up and brush off and incorporate in your business. My co-host will start off the show with an amazing set of data and information that she's gathered. But yes, we're looking at the history of small business. How did it come to be? And where did it come from? And why did someone think that this was a necessary um, approach to transaction? So this is how we're looking at it, guys. And if you know where you're from, then you know where you should know where you're going. So that's what we're trying to do here on the Business Zone.
Exactly. So, first of all, we're going to do you some fun facts right here. So, first of all, small businesses account for 99.99% of all US businesses. Now, Gilbert, you're in the in the procurement supplier contract business. What is actually deemed as a small business? What is that number
So
by the
as
SBA?
small business, as far as the SBA is concerned, is any small business that generates revenues up to $16 million, average over 3 years. And what that means is, if you made 16 million last year, 16 million the year before, or up to 6 million, 16 million the year before that, you add them all together, you divide it by 3, and if you get up to 16 million, then you are a small business. If you get over or in excess of 16 million, then you're no longer a small business. You're now entering into the mid-sized business space. So keep that in mind. That's how the SBA and the state of California, that's how they calculate that.
Okay. And small businesses include baking businesses, online selling, food charts, street businesses, detergent soap businesses, retail businesses, photography businesses, auto mechanic businesses. But really, truly, the key to opening a business, and this is how I teach it when I teach kids how to launch or start businesses. Anything that is solving a pain point in the marketplace is the best type of business that you can create.
And that's how it should be, guys. Remember, a lot of people enter the marketplace thinking that, hey, I can start a business. Oh, I can do this and I can do that. Maybe I can do barbecue ribs. But they haven't really researched the market to see if there's a need. Is there a pain point in the marketplace that requires that type of service? And that's how many businesses may end up failing, because you enter a market trying to solve a pain that doesn't exist.
Exactly. And so the most common reason that these businesses fail in the first few years is because it lacked a market demand, right?
Exactly.
And so many people that come to us that looking for our assistance to coach them is you don't see a demand there, right?
That's
Because
right.
somebody told you that you make excellent pies or cakes or whatever, but how many people can be in that one business, and what can you do that's so different from anybody else that's in that business?
And folks, what we're providing you here on the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, this is priceless information. And when we say priceless, we're not charging you for this information. You're getting this for free. Usually, when we compile this data and we put it in a report, we're charging big money for this, because that's what we do. We're big in this space. We're consultants who have multiple years of experience doing what we do. So, what Crystal just rolled out to you there is priceless information. So you want to take that and quickly document it and try to incorporate that into your program.
Right. So when first of all, I teach kids how to be entrepreneurs. So one of the first things that I start with when I start a class is, okay, what are some of the most profitable business ideas free, right, Greg? What are some of the most profitable businesses ideas that are out there that you could look at starting? I mean, because most of the kids come with no idea at all. Most
Right,
of the adults that come to us have an idea already, and they're so married to that idea that you can't blast it away from them, right?
right,
But
right,
with the kids, which is why I like working with kids, is they're coming fresh, right? So I can mold it. They can come to me and say, "Hey, Miss Crystal, I want to start a t-shirt business," and I can say, "Yeah, that's a good idea, but let's look at some other ideas that
right,
could be much more profitable based upon the market need right now." And they can really look at that and come up with a good idea. Like yesterday, I had a kid. We were interviewing a child, Gilbert, and I hadn't even thought about this because
yeah,
obviously, I'm this kid is a left-handed kid.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just got a notification that one of my friends passed. Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Um that this kid is left-handed. So he and his mother has come up with a prototype for a ink pen for a left-handed person. And because if you're left-handed, you write across the paper, so
Yeah,
you can't really see the paper and it kind of smears the ink and stuff. So they have devised, and we still have to see what it looks like, but that's kind of solving a pain point for those individuals that use their left hand to write, right?
right,
um so I'm excited about that because usually my kids come with t-shirts and lip gloss. So I'm really excited. Everybody in their family it's 4 kids in this family, and each one of them had a really amazing idea. So I'm really excited about that. But
right,
that's what I would love my adults to come with, kind of a blank slate and go, "Hey, I want to start a business, but I'm not quite sure what that is. Can you guide me to what would be a successful business, an innovative business, a disruptive business that could be really, really successful in the coming years, like an AI business or
right.
something in the tech business that wouldn't require a lot of capital, but actually I could start." Wouldn't you just love that?
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
So another cool fact about small business is, oh, so before we get to that, there is some factors. So in America, that when you look at, we say 99.9%, that literally represents probably about 331 about 32 million small businesses in the US, according to the census in 2020. Of course, 2020 was a really interesting time frame because that was the pandemic.
Hmm.
But I will say this about the pandemic. Whoa, some creativity came out of the pandemic, man.
Right,
I mean, people were doing some amazing pivoting
right.
creation business. They took
Hmm.
some very basic um pain solving businesses and just took it to the next level
Right.
in order to be what did they call them, essential business
They-
classifications.
Unbelievable.
My nephew worked in he worked at a yogurt place, and I told him he was the only one in the household. I mean, the rest of us was doing remote business, but he was the only one that worked outside of the household during the pandemic. And he actually was in a yogurt company, worked at a yogurt shop. And I said, so I did not know yogurt was an essential business, but somehow or another, his business, his company deemed themselves essential.
Oh my Lord, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that was it. But the next creative and cool fact about small business is that small businesses create about 1.5 million jobs annually in the marketplace because generally, I mean, you're just starting out if you're in the retail business. And let me find out exactly what those small businesses, what jobs they create.
Mhm.
Um, Now, I know in the minority business space, I don't know if that's the case because most businesses, I believe, are one man shop, and that's about 70% of small businesses are own.
Our single owner, single person owners, right?
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's an issue, right? That's a real issue being single owners. Because you're wearing all of the hats.
Yeah.
But let's see, as a small business, what jobs are usually created as a small business owner. Do a little research here. Oh, Gilbert must be having some work done over here. So, single business owner, small business jobs created. Creation. All right. So, generally, in fact, it says that new jobs over 25, probably every 3 jobs are added to the economy is from a small business. A small business.
Yeah, that's why they said 99% of the U.S. economy is made up of small businesses.
Mm,
So we're the ones out there hiring people, and one of the things that is said about small business that I really want to put out there, it's really really crucial data. It says successful small businesses put money back in the local community through paychecks and taxes. And this helps to support the creation of new small businesses and also improve the local public service environment.
mm,
So these are things that a lot of us need to think about. I'm sure big businesses know this, but don't they really don't give it credence because it's not, that's not their credit. So they
mm,
they don't want to give credit to the small businesses that way. But yeah, we're the ones who really help small businesses, small families thrive, pay their rent, pay their bills, send their kids to school because they're helping us to build our small businesses. And we have to be really, really supportive of that effort.
right, exactly. I know food-based businesses generally have, they're positioned to hire employees. Um, so Greg's question is, how is a small business defined?
Yeah, small business, Greg, is by the state of California. It states that any business that generate revenues up to $16 million a year is considered a small business, and that's average over 3 years. So they could make 20 million last year, right? And then made 4 million the year before, and then the other year, I'm sorry, 12 million the year before, and then the year before that they make 16 million. You tally those all up together, that's 16 million. So you add all 3 years and divide it by 3. That's how you get the average annual revenue. So the state of California does that with the SBA. The SBA does size standard. They do size standard. So businesses like mine, Crystal, and others, they do it based on the employees, but also the revenues. So a business like mine, depending on our NAICS code, it will be either 7.5 million a year, 15.5 million, or 16 million, depending on your NAICS code. The NAICS code has to do with a lot of what you offer. So that's how they measure it. I hope I didn't confuse you that way, but that's how a small business is determined.
And can you explain the next codes to most people?
And the NAICS code, NAICS is an acronym. NAICS is an acronym which means North American Industry Classification System Codes. These codes, it's a 6-digit code that is assigned to all businesses. So if you provide a product or a service, you will have a NAICS code assigned to you. These NAICS were established back in 1995 when President Clinton, the Mexican president, and the Canadian president decided to come together and form NAFTA. When they formed NAFTA, that's when the NAICS codes were born. Before NAICS were SIC code, SIC, which means um, standard standard industry code. That's what it
Mm,
meant.
mm.
So that's how that's determined. I hope that clarifies things for you, Greg.
And Greg says, what about micro businesses? What exactly are micro businesses? So,
No, micro business is a strange phenomenon because many cities have different definitions of micro. Some cities will say if you generate $100,000 a year, you're a micro business. Some will say if you generate $250,000 a year, you're a micro business. And I've noticed recently some cities are saying if you generate up to 3 million a year, you're considered a micro business. So it all depends on the city that you're in. They're the ones who come up with those classification and criteria. So I would ask each particular city that I'm trying to do business in what their definition is of a micro business. So because of that, I usually prepare my business around the highest revenue classification. I usually organize my business around that, and then I round down. So
mm,
if the highest is 3 million, then I try to target my business towards 3 million. But then when I go to certain city, if they say, no, sir, sorry, our definition of a micro business is 250, then okay, fine, 250.
mm.
That's what it is. So that's how you do it.
Okay, okay. And it says here, I'm looking at some stats, 75% of employers in the private sector were considered micro businesses in 2013.
Right,
Um, and on small business statistics on small business show that these businesses employed a total of 10.8% of the private sector workers, and the majority of them were likely to be employed in the finance, insurance, and real estate industries.
right,
Micro businesses happen to have an 85% share of those industries back then.
right.
So don't know what they are today. um yeah, so that's what that is. Here's some other interesting stats. Amazing 82% of small businesses provide on-the-job training for most of their employees.
Hmm.
Um, that's one of the things I think is very interesting here. When you go to college, you don't really get training per se for a job.
Right.
Most of your training has to come from the industry or the job you're
The
actually
particular employer that hires you.
right, exactly. You don't there's no standard type of work employment
Right,
for an industry. I mean, even if you are specialized as an engineer, you still have to go and apply. You still have to have on the job training
yeah,
at that particular company,
right.
I think.
Now I want to throw some information out there because one of the things that's been going on in the economy right now that some people know of, some people don't. The sex trade, it's like an underground economy that's
Mhm.
thriving. A
Mhm.
lot of people know about it. They don't pay much attention to it, but it's really, really thriving at maximum speed. Now,
Really?
oh yeah, the sex trade, the strippers,
Oh, yeah.
that type of thing, and OnlyFans. All of those things are sex trades, right? I mean, sex
Businesses,
business,
industry.
right? And it's been thriving and thriving. Now, here is something I want to put out there, because a lot of these women in that trade, they believe that the money that they make goes directly in their pockets. They don't account for taxes. They do not account for taxes. So, and I'm bringing this up because I was watching a show the other day, and this one young girl, she's 23. She's on OnlyFans, right? Very
Mm-hmm.
pretty girl, right? So
Mm-hmm.
she's doing her, sex thing online, whatever she
Mm-hmm.
does. So she's bragging and boasting about, how she called herself a money tree. She said, "I'm a money tree. I get money. I make money." And there are two consultants on there trying to explain to her that, listen, it might be good that you're making this money right now, but it's not going to last, because somehow, some way, either your beauty is going to fade,
Mm.
or there's going to be regulations that clamp down on people in your trade, and it will not be as flourishing at it as it is. So you need to invest your money, invest it wisely, so that money can grow multiple times over. You don't have to tell me anything. I know what I'm doing, right? So she's making about $12,000 a month. $12,000 a month doing what she does, right? So that's $144,000 a year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say on 144,000 you're going to pay taxes. So the taxes for someone, in that classification. So we're
Mm-hmm.
going to we're going to assume she's a sole proprietor, cuz
Mm-hmm.
she hasn't registered herself as a business or not. So as a sole proprietor, you and I know that the taxes that is taken from a sole proprietor is somewhere around 30-33%, or even up to 35%,
Right.
right? So I calculated the taxes against the 144,000, and I was very moderate with it. So I did it at 28%. So even at 28% from 144,000, your taxes are $40,320. She does not know that. She has no clue that she needs to pay that to the government, and that's just a federal tax. We're not even talking about state taxes, right? So she's going to end up with 103,680 from that revenue that she brought in. But she's calling herself a money tree. 103,000 is not a money tree. Okay? That is just like an average salary that's made by entrepreneurs in their third year of operation.
But the even more frightening thing is that that part is true. But
Yeah.
however, if she never files and she stays under the radar, they
Yes.
may not ever know that. But of course, she will never be able. That person or those individuals never be able to purchase a home or be able to really come off from. They will never be
Exactly.
able to come above the radar, right? Unless
Right.
unless they're taking their money and and acquiring some financial advice, and they're using their cash to convert that into something so that they can buy some assets, or somebody's doing that for them. That's
Right.
one aspect, right?
Yes.
But the real seriousness of that is what happens to retirement. Nothing
Yes.
is going into
Yes.
a retirement place.
Yes.
So when they're no longer in a position to depend on
To
their
do that kind of work.
work, then there's nothing that they've invested into their retirement.
Right.
And so now what happens to them? Do you go to work at the local Walmart? And
Right.
what happens to you then? So
Right.
that's the real scary part of that.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
again, they're young. They're 20 something years old, so they think they conquer the world. They've got the world in their hands. But what they don't understand, they're on a podcast, right, talking about this stuff.
Right,
It's a
exactly.
video podcast. It's broadcast live on air on the entire internet. So if the IRS decide to go on the internet and look at podcasts and see them bragging and talk, all they have to do is target them and say, okay, we're auditing you,
Well, you
and we're auditing you for 5 years.
well, that's the next thing is that they're looking at now is because there are a lot of individuals are monetizing their
Yeah,
podcasts, and
yeah,
so they're receiving monies through those entities,
yeah,
through their cash apps and their cash, those type of facilities. So
yeah,
now anything over, that was a new law, anything over $600, they now
yeah.
have to report that to the IRS. So
Exactly.
I think it's bound to catch up to them
Right,
if they're monetizing that way. Now, if
right.
they're still getting their money through the other way, of course, yeah,
Yeah,
there's no way to track that. But
right.
however, um, but it really, like I said, but there's a twofold problem there.
Yeah.
Down the line, you won't have any money, which I
For
guess maybe
for your
your retirement,
retirement.
but maybe that's what the podcasting is to help that. Maybe that's the transitional second act.
Yeah. But I think it's a really foolhardy approach by them to go on podcasts and broadcast those types of things, because the IRS is always monitoring those types of platforms. They're always how do you think they're catching all these rappers right now who you see them with big chains and big wads of money
Yeah, that's how
going
they're doing
around,
it.
and in 3 years they get audited by the IRS and they end up being broke,
Right. Well,
that's the kind of thing I'm
yeah, because
talking
you because
about.
now you're no longer under the radar. As Greg says, the next IRS trap is non-reporting of gains from sales of digital assets and currency. But again,
Exactly.
that's why. But then the other side of that is that's why the NFTs and stuff, and that's why cryptocurrency
Yeah.
was making its appearance, so that cryptocurrency is digital currency that you can't
Yeah.
record.
Right.
However, there's something called Fed now
Yeah.
that is materializing so that they could be able to track that, because
Yeah.
the Uncle Sam wants his money. So yeah,
Right.
so there's some new things going on out there. Yeah, that
See, every item, every unit of Small Biz Pro that I sell online, every unit, the information is collected by my merchant account holder,
yeah,
and they report it every year. So I can't get away. I sell 10,000 unit of Small Biz Pro. When they send me my statement at the
yeah,
end of the year,
it's
they
being
send,
recorded by
yeah,
somebody.
yeah, they send what they call a 10, I think it's a 1098 or something like that, 1098M that
Yeah,
they send, and the IRS gets a copy of that. So they know how much money I'm making through my digital subscription. The next thing with the OnlyFans, when these women decide to create an account, an OnlyFans, they have to put their social security numbers. You see what I'm saying? So that makes it easy for the IRS to go in, hold those OnlyFans broadcast platforms accountable to turn over that information. So I don't understand why they go on, they brag about, oh, I'm
well, because
rich.
they really don't understand. They don't. I mean, remember they've been in a type of industry, other than the owner. The owner has had to report,
Right.
because the owner has had to report to keep the authorities away from them. But that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that his dancers or whomever has had to report. Some have.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
some have, but some have not. Some have been able to stay under the radar. But
Yeah.
by going in and doing a podcast and generating revenue, they have had to do that. So, and there's some business owners as well that
Yeah.
have not, because they figure, they've not made a lot of money,
Right.
and
Strategically.
strategically, and there's some there, we know there's cash businesses that
Yeah.
is a cash and carry kind of business. They the
Right.
money doesn't ever get to the books.
Yeah.
Gilbert, Greg says, wondering how Gilbert's such a fan of experts on OnlyFans.
That's because I watch the podcast, man, and I see these girls on there talking all this smack, and I'm going, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think this morning I was watching, and I said, "What is she saying? It makes no sense," because she was just bragging. And this one guy was there as a consultant. He was saying, he was explaining to her how she needs to look beyond where she is right now, look beyond like 10, 15 years down the road. She needs to invest this money. And she got really upset. She even walked off the show. She walked.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But but that's an interesting factor there, Gilbert. So we know during the pandemic, a lot of our small business owners had to they came to a come to Jesus meeting as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because they got a very eye-opening experience that they couldn't get to the PP money. And here's some
yeah,
statistics that took place
yeah.
during that time,
Mm-hmm.
that on an average, let me see, I just saw some numbers here. How many businesses were denied the PPP during the
Wow.
pandemic because of the, yeah, 240,000 small business owners were rejected from the PPP plan in August 2020. And they were rejected for some clerical errors, but a lot of them were rejected because of the fact that they had not filed taxes, or they weren't structured properly, or they were not set up properly, or
Mm-hmm.
they had not registered their businesses.
Yeah,
There were a lot of businesses that just were not operating as real businesses,
yeah.
and so they were rejected during that time, and they could not get any funding
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. So same thing, right? A lot
Yeah.
of businesses found
Fa-
that out during the pandemic.
Faulty or missing paperwork will get you every time as a
Mhm.
small business owner, because and that's where we come in, where we're trying to get them to understand business readiness, understand contract readiness, understand loan readiness. They don't get that because there are certain documents you got to have in place. You got to have a system that's properly set up. For example, your small business, either your QuickBooks or you have some other platform, Wave or some other platform that you use to manage your balance sheet and your profit and loss statement. You got to do that. Ask small businesses, how many of them know what a balance sheet is or a profit and loss statement? A lot of
Well,
them
most of
don't
them,
know
because
it.
they had not been tracking any of that
Yes.
information, and I have found a lot of them feel like I'm not making any money, so I'll just keep it on an
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and or I'm in a cash-based business, and I use the cash to, especially in the food business, I'll use the cash to go back and buy my materials, my raw materials to produce the food, and
Yeah.
then I'll make the money, and it's just like a vicious cycle. But they never at that point know what type of profit they made. In their head they do, but
Yeah.
they never can see it. And I had a client, I finally got her to concede to setting up an accounting system, because I finally she left the door wide open, because I've been trying to encourage her to do that. And finally I said to her, okay, so tell me, now that tax season was over, so tell me how much money you made. And she goes, I had no idea
Oh
that I
my
had
Lord.
made that kind of money. And she made a comment that I thought was kind of interesting. She says, I made enough money where I almost had to pay taxes.
Almost.
And I said, well, that's an interesting statement. What does that mean? Almost meaning that you didn't want to pay taxes? So does that mean that you are going to limit how much money you make so you don't pay taxes? Or does that mean that you are going to make money, create a profit, and make sure you are going to have deductions so you can minimize the tax liability? I'm not quite sure what we're trying to get at right here. Because we're supposed to be in business to make money, right? We're not supposed to
Right.
be in business to almost not pay taxes.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
with that, she had to take a stop and a step back and go, oh yeah, that didn't quite sound right.
Yeah.
So at that point I said, so how about we do this? How about we set up an accounting system so we can make sure we have enough deductions that we can deduct our expenses, but at the same time we know exactly how much profit we're making. And she goes, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, right. Because what you just said to me just didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's exactly what happened. And a lot of these small business owners, they snitch on themselves.
Yeah,
That's a self-snitching approach right there, where they start bragging. And that's the thing I say. When they brag, when you hear someone bragging, you listen very closely to them, because when people brag, they're usually telling on themselves. So when you hear them brag, oh, I'm a money tree, I make all this money, all right. So how you do that? Do you have employees? Do you pay those employees according to the law? Or do you pay your taxes? And
right,
and a lot of them, so let's say they're operating in the state of California. They say,
right.
oh, yeah, I've got employees. Okay. The first question I ask, are you registered with EDD? Are you paying into the EDD system? What's that?
Right,
So
exactly.
right there alone, I know they're not compliant. They're not following the process, man. Because if you have employees, the first thing you do, you register with EDD and make sure you got those DE9C forms that you report every
Yeah,
quarter. And that's on your employees, how much they make and all of that.
exactly. Greg says, and this is a good question, Greg, and this is a question I guess we should be asking business owners. Are you in business to make money or to build wealth?
Exactly. That's
That
a very good
that's
one.
a very good question.
Very good
Um,
one.
because I don't know if business owners know that question or
No,
even have thought about that
I
question.
don't think so. I do not think so, man.
Yeah, I mean, are you there to build wealth or are
Yeah.
you there to make money? And some of them, I don't even know if they're there to make money.
All right.
I think some of them, some of them, I think get so excited about their product, especially if they're in. I have found, and you guys correct me, I and Gilbert, I mean you and I, and as, Greg, yours is a little bit different because yours is from the risk management side, but
Yeah.
some of them are so excited about the product itself. I think the money is secondary.
Oh, for sure. For
Right?
sure.
They're like, oh, but I just love somebody told me I make the best so and so and so and so.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Okay.
can't tell them anything. You can't tell them. The packaging might be jacked up, but you can't tell them anything.
And it's like from a competitive standpoint, right? They're just so excited that they make it better than anybody else that they're not. And then I go, okay, but how much money are you planning on making? They're like, huh? What?
Yeah.
What? And like, but are you in it to make money? That's
Right.
the goal.
Right.
Right. And then and what's the goal? Right? What's the goal?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, so
all
that
it's unbelievable, man. Now, going back a little bit to the cash run type of transactions,
hmm
restaurants were notorious for doing the cash based transactions,
yes.
because they figure if they do it that way, then they wouldn't have to pay a lot of taxes. So the IRS, they recognized that, and they decided, okay, since you're utilizing that approach, then we're going to charge you a flat rate. And the flat rate that they assessed against them was very high, very high.
Mm,
And they said, no, we can't afford that. What are you talking about? We don't even make that much. So what do you think you make? 30,000 a night. Okay, so we'll base it on 30,000 a night then. Because before that, they wouldn't tell the IRS how much you're making. So when the IRS said, all right, we'll assess you 60%. Then they go,
wow.
oh, no. It's about 30. All right, we'll do 30 then. So that's how you see. And that's why when you go to certain restaurants, you see the proprietors are in a hurry to get you out of there, because they want to turn those tables really fast to make money. And many restaurants can make like $50,000 a night,
Yeah,
you know.
depending on what they're serving and
Yeah,
and their And they have to, because a lot, restaurants have such a small margin.
Yes.
As I was saying last night when I was talking about cash flow, because they do have such small narrow razor narrow margins,
Mm-hmm.
when their product, when their raw materials increase, they even lose more of that narrow margin, and
Right.
then they cannot raise their prices as rapidly as everyone else, right?
Yes. Yes.
um and I noticed that, yeah, you're absolutely right, Greg. Making money is easy, but making a profit is so much
Oh
harder,
yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
your raw material, especially if it's product based, right?
Right.
um I think service-based businesses have a greater profitability, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's all based, it's kind of uh subjective, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, as I love it, Gilbert. You call it, you sometimes you have the stupid charge
Yeah. Yeah.
or the aggravation service.
Yeah. That stupid tax man. It doesn't go away.
but in product based, you're pretty, you got to regulate that, because you got to price it. But and especially in a food based business. But remember, like, what, month ago, I don't know what eggs are now, but eggs went up to $10 a carton,
Yeah. Yeah. Which was
from
crazy.
$3 to $10 a carton.
Yeah.
So if you were serving breakfast and all of a sudden your eggs margin went up from $1 to $3 an egg, but you still were charging for breakfast, $12, and your
Right.
eggs were already eaten into your little narrow profit.
Right. Right.
That's a little bit different. And how do you can't change the product, you can't change the price midstream.
Right.
And I remember during the pandemic, we were doing coaching at that time, and a lot of the businesses could not take their chickens were laying Louis Vuitton bags. Yeah, true that. Um, um, a lot of the businesses could not condense their pretty elaborate menus down to um COVID size menus,
Yeah.
to a takeout menu. And
Right.
some of it was vanity, and some of it was just not possible. They didn't have a quick menu
Yeah.
process. They didn't have a quick menu that they could rely on. So
Right.
they ended up having to go out of business. So and that's when we go to number one, the last one, a fact is most small businesses fail due to cash flow. And one of the things about cash flow is really understanding where and why, what the cash flow issues are, being able to address those cash flow flaws early on, right?
Right.
Not ignoring them, but knowing that those potential flaws that you think are a one-off really can kill your business, especially when most small businesses don't have enough capital to start off in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
That
know,
is true.
right? Especially businesses that are food-based businesses, service businesses. I don't know. We're a definitely anomaly, because I don't know what do you say? I think you could literally start a service-based business for under $500.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Even less.
if you don't have a computer, then it will cost a little more because you got to buy a computer too, right?
Right.
To track and monitor things. But if you have a computer, you could pretty much start it with 500 easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Easily, right?
Right.
Then it becomes more about the marketing, and being able to network your way into some clients and sell yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. But if you have a business, restaurants and things like that, it's a whole different ball game, because you
Mm-hmm.
got to have startup capital. So, and that's here's some startup statistics. So 69% of startup businesses begin at home, which is easy. And
Yeah.
90% keep 1 to 4 employees,
Mm-hmm.
possibly. Over 50% of business owners continue to operate at home, especially now in the remote world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Then it says Although they start at home, over 90% of startup businesses fail.
Right.
And I'm going to say, what would you feel that would be the main reason for failure based
Well,
upon the businesses that we work with?
Well, based on the businesses that we work with, I would say the first thing is record keeping. A lot of small
Mm,
businesses don't keep proper records. So they don't know whether they have enough money, they don't have enough money or not. Then they go out to do a transaction, then that's when they find out they don't have enough money and they ask for credit. So the record keeping system is one of the first part. Then the second one would be finances, having access to finances to run and manage a business, so you can also hire people to help
mhm,
you out. So
mhm,
those two, I would say, are the key killers for a business going out of business. The third one would be lack of management. They don't have that management skill and ability to proper run the business and manage a business well. So
mm.
that would be the third one. So those would be my top three.
Okay, I kind of agree with that as well. Is that not been and financials, not having the financials, not
Yeah,
understanding their numbers,
yeah,
not monitoring their numbers from the
yeah,
very beginning, understanding how their money is coming in and how their money is going out, and
yeah,
understanding their cash flow.
yeah.
I think that's a big component of it.
Yeah, that's
I
a big part of record keeping. Yeah,
and I think another component of it, Gilbert, is
yeah,
not staying on top of their industry and not also staying on top of and increasing their business and investing in business knowledge.
yes, yes. And that's where I said having the skills and ability to properly manage the business. Because if you're investing in those skills and abilities, you can learn proper management skills. Because management is not just about running the daily operation of the business, it has to do with manage your employees, managing your product, your inventory, if you sell a product, managing that inventory well. Because in a food service business, man, the turnover is supposed to be about, I think, 72 hours. 72
Mhm.
hours is your turnover. And if you don't know those formulas and those skills, you will lose out. You will lose out. And that's why you see a lot of these small businesses, they buy products and frozen products and they keep them for like, 3-4 weeks. And they're not really that good at that point. So now the customer is going to show their discontent for that. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Here's another one that is kind of interesting, and I know our businesses don't have that. It says that most businesses don't have an exit strategy. Only a third of small businesses have an exit strategy.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. Many small businesses don't even know what an exit strategy is, because if they did know that, then it would really make it easier for them to plan and implement their business according to their business plan or their business model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or, and in this day and age, or even understanding, especially in a world where people are looking to start businesses, even preparing their businesses to be sold or bought
Yeah,
out by
yeah,
somebody else, right? That
yeah,
you've established a pretty lucrative a client base, or you have a business that could be the ground, like Elon Musk. So
yeah.
Elon Musk actually has not created any businesses at all.
Right.
He has actually acquired all the businesses he has. He has acquired the foundation of a business that somebody else started.
That's true.
Right? So he had the money to do so, and he just acquired the businesses.
So
Um,
you got something with an existing infrastructure.
infant structure, which is
Yeah,
a really good way to start a business, right?
yeah, yeah.
So even some of our businesses have great ideas, build that business up, that's your focus, right? A lot
Right.
of them, that's how the business, like Mr. Wonderful on on Shark Tank. That's
Right.
what he did. He actually sold his very first business. That's how he became a very wealthy man. He
Hmm.
sold his first business. I think it was an app, a math app or something of that nature. And
Right.
then
Right.
that's how he became an investor. And a lot of businesses are like that. They
Hmm.
start. And so we have to start thinking, teaching our businesses how to do that.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I'm sure on your paperwork there, Crystal, you have the history of small business, how small business got started, how it came into being. And I remember we were talking about this. And if we go back in time, go back to our ancestors' days as to
Hmm.
when business first started. Business first started using the bartering system. You
Yes.
know, one person may have certain resources and the other one don't have some of that resources. So they decided, okay, let's exchange. I'll give you some of what you don't have, and you give me some of what I don't have. And that's how the business started. In the beginning, they said it's way back in before the 600 BCs. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that's when all of that stuff got started, and people were able. So let's say I'm very skilled in hunting, and I can hunt a deer. I can get like 4 or 5 deer a day or a
Right.
week right?
Right.
But my neighbor, they don't know how to hunt deer, but they grow rice. They know how to grow rice very well.
Hmm.
So we come together. I said, okay, I got some deer meat over here. You got your rice. I love to
Hmm.
have some rice. So let's exchange. Let's put a value on these items and do a fair exchange. So, I may say, okay, half of my deer is worth, $1,000, and you may give me a big bag of rice and say, okay, this is worth 1,000. Okay, fair exchange. And that's how it went. So that's
Yeah.
how it got started.
Yeah, that's how business got started. You just and then over time, and small businesses actually help other businesses, right? Because
Yes.
other businesses need the resources of other businesses
Right.
in order to help them. In fact, that's the goal. Is
Yeah.
one, you're supporting the business, the consumer, but really the ultimate goal is to be the business, you're supplying to the business,
The B2B.
the
Yeah.
B2B. That should be everybody's ultimate goal, is to be able to supply to that other business, because you have
Yeah.
services that could be offered to them.
Right.
So yeah, business has been around forever, and small businesses are the fuel of the economy. Without the small
Yes.
businesses, the big businesses would not function.
That's true. Because the small businesses do certain type of work that the bigger businesses wouldn't even dare think of doing. The
Right.
grunt work. The grunt
Right.
work is what we do. They don't care about doing that.
And they really are too big to do that anymore.
Yeah. So
Right.
they'll pay us, for doing those services. Here's an example of that. Here's an example. In Jamaica, one of our most valuable natural resources is alumina.
Mm.
Alumina is what they convert into aluminum, right?
Right.
To
Right.
make pots and utensils, spoons, and all of those things.
Right.
But in Jamaica, we're rich. We have a lot of alumina, but we don't have the machinery and tools to process the alumina so it can be converted into aluminum.
Right.
So we established a contract and agreement with the U.S. Say, all right, U.S. First of all, the U.S. they came in and they wanted to take over the territories with aluminum. I said, heck to the no. We're not giving you our place. This is ours. We
Right.
can do some business.
Right.
So here's what they do. They purchase the alumina from the Jamaican government.
Mhm.
They take it to the US, they manufacture it, process it, and then they process it wherein it makes the byproducts of that is pots, pans. They used to use aluminum to make cars and all of that. They don't do that anymore. Now they're using fiberglass and all of that. But they use the alumina to make steel fences, walls, and all of that stuff. And
Right.
oh, they used to use it for roof also. You used to have aluminum roof.
Oh,
all
okay.
of that.
The
Yes.
tin roofs. Okay.
Yeah. So when they manufacture that, they sell it back. They would sell it back to Jamaican at very high prices
Mm,
because the Jamaicans, they didn't have the money to, and the machinery to manufacture it themselves, and but they need pots and pans and all of that.
right.
so so that's part of the beginning of time, right? The history where you mentioned that some of the big businesses didn't want to do certain little grunge work, and that's true
Right.
because manufacturing, digging up the alumina out of the soil and producing
Yeah,
it was a pain
you
for
would
them.
use a smaller company, or like when we had TJ on and he, a big company, him coming up with a little widget was so
Yeah,
much easier to pay him to do
yeah,
that little widget than it
yeah,
would be to pay their big engineers to do that.
exactly,
Pay him
exactly.
$2 per widget than it is
Yeah,
to pay, $150, $150,000 to their engineers. So
yeah,
they have to use they need those innovators
right,
in order to do that. So
right.
small businesses actually are needed by big businesses because
Oh
you need
yeah,
that innovators, you need those
right.
creators from those new innovators who have these great ideas to create new patents and new ideas. So
Yeah.
we need you guys to be out there coming up with new ideas. No t-shirts. We need you to be creative. You don't have to
Creative.
creative, but we need you to look and see what the marketplace needs, right? Not
Yeah.
coming up with ideas that are already existing, or if they are already existing, how can you be a disruptor of an idea that's already out there, right?
Right. Right.
Right? So like a Uber or a Lyft.
Yeah.
Taxis were already out there, but all they did was Uber and Lyft made taxis, you just created a better version of a taxi, right?
You
Cheaper,
want
better.
you want to look at how you can make something better or
Right.
create something new that can take the place of that existing, item or
Right.
service. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So look around and be more creative. And as Greg said, now you're gonna make money, but you also can look at becoming building wealth, right?
Yes.
Because you're
Yes.
coming up with something that can solve a problem or a pain point, but
Hmm.
more people will need and want,
Yeah.
and is actually solving a pain point that a larger mass of people will want versus
Right.
a t-shirt. So don't
Right.
don't just come up with a t-shirt unless you're going to manufacture it, unless you're building a manufacturing company, and even that you're going to have to come up with something different than
Yeah.
what's already out there. Don't just y'all I just it just bothers me, Gilbert, that when people come up with these businesses, even food-based businesses, how many cakes can you make?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
oh, come on now. Can we get a little bit more creative than the same businesses regurgitating the same businesses over and over? I know we more creative than that.
Yes, yes. And you know what's amazing about this whole history of small business here is that when when the previous folks or fourth parents, when they decided to conduct business by bartering and exchanging goods and services,
Hmm.
they didn't just think about doing that in their community. They think of doing it globally. So they
Right,
wanted their products and services to go abroad to different countries because some of them, they'll take the product and service on boats and on ships, take them to another place, they sell it and all of that, get their money, they get their return. So, but now many of our small businesses, what I'm noticing, they're only doing business in their community, their city, and maybe they'll do it in one city over, but they don't think of doing it from state to state, country to country. And that's where they're being left short because they're not making as much money as they should. You mentioned the cake and the t-shirt. If they were doing t-shirt sales or cake globally, then we could see that making sense and then making money. But if you're just
right,
doing it in your community, you're not going to get enough consumers to support that.
right, exactly. So how can you fulfill a bigger need, right? A
Right.
need that's not just here.
Yeah.
And what about worldwide? What about
Yes.
looking at a world that could I was looking at we have the the immigrant issues that's going on right now, right?
Yes.
And they're all coming here, and I was saying, and I was listening to him saying, I can't stay in my country anymore because the crime and the something else, and I'm thinking, and this country's that much better. I mean, really? We got crime here and it ain't safe here either, right? But then I thought, well, what aren't there that's possibly some business ideas that could be generated from that, right?
Right.
Right? Because we got plenty of problems of our own, but there are some worldwide, you know, going somewhere else to create a better place, a better or create a product or whatever that could make it a better place for people to live.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many there we got so many issues in our own country, so many issues in many other countries
Hmm.
that we can there's an abundance. All you have to do is just do some research.
Right.
That's what I say. But we have to be creative, and I think that is it's not difficult to do that, be that creative now.
Yeah. All they have to do is a little market research, man. Just do some
Yeah,
market
little market.
research and see what's going on. Reach out to different countries that need those types of, like you and I, the services that we provide. It can be utilized worldwide because every city, every town, every county, every state, they need small business support services because small business is the engine that makes those community that
Right,
thrive. You
right.
know?
And you have the internet. Whatever,
Yes.
you can find a business that you can do online,
Yeah.
and people can purchase that online.
Yeah.
Man, you can make money. So yes, let's be more creative.
Yeah.
Yes, Fernando, use AI to research and definitely give you some ideas.
That's right.
Be creative. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Be creative. In
Right.
fact, there's people out there right now going, here, let me teach you how to use AI to make money.
Yes.
So, but people have to look at how to invest in that. They're going, oh, I don't want to spend any money. You really truly have to spend money in order to learn how to make you have to sometimes spend money to invest in yourself to learn how to do something differently and not regurgitate the same old ideas. And so as small business, as we've talked about for the last hour and a half, is small businesses fuel big businesses, and you are the fuel for that. So, but you do have to look at what are some new innovative ideas to do that. And you can create businesses that can continue to create jobs, but also that can create wealth, building wealth for yourself and for your families, right? And making a better place on this planet for all of us.
And over 65% of new jobs created uh, by small businesses are being done on a daily basis, a monthly basis. 65%, and then 99% throughout the year annually. Now, also, almost a half a million small businesses get started every month. Almost a half a million get started according to Forbes magazine, right?
Yeah.
543,000 new businesses get started each month. That's phenomenal. So, my question is, are those businesses conducting some research in the marketplace before they get started? Are they looking to see what pain points exist? And also, the solution they bring, is it for low hanging fruit pain points?
Yeah.
So those are things, guys, that you want to think about. We're not just spitting out these facts for you guys to just listen to them and do nothing. You got to incorporate them if you want to make money. And like I say every week, remember, the Olympics are coming. The FIFA World Cup football is coming, championships. It's coming. So in 2026, the FIFA World Cup soccer championships will be here in Los Angeles. And in 2028, the Olympics will be coming here to Los Angeles. So you guys want to be ready. Get your small businesses ready so you can get a piece of the pie. These statistics that we're talking about, your participation will help to make those statistics better for you, for I, and the community.
And I think you guys should do it. And Gilbert, this might be for us, but use AI to research what that looks like to be
Yeah.
ready for the FIFA. What kind of products are going to be needed? Because FIFA, they just had that in Qatar, and so already there's information out there. And what was the most successful products that sold, and who were the most successful vendors that were out there, or the most successful businesses that actually did well at in Qatar.
Yeah.
And what could you do in order to do that? You said 2026, you got
Mm-hmm.
3 years to make that happen, right?
3 years.
So
3 years.
that's an idea, guys. So
Yeah.
thank you, Fernando. Excellent idea. So guys, and then you got the Olympics coming here. So use this time right now. Be creative, though. Don't come up with
creative.
just t-shirts, guys.
Yeah.
Do not just come up here with just t-shirts. All righty. So there you have it. So before we close out, I do want to share something. We are the community briefing. We are doing, I'm going to share this now, Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing a symposium.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here on the Crenshaw corridor. Crenshaw Boulevard Corridor Symposium is going to be May 18th at 9:30 to 12 p.m. It's going to be streaming live via Zoom, and we're going to talk about the past, the present, and the future of Crenshaw. We have Danny Bakewell Jr., who is executive VP with the Bakewell Company, as well as Daryl Carter. He's with the Aviant Capital Management, and Jason Foster from Destination Crenshaw, Cherie Franklin. She's an urban design, urban planner in Los Angeles. And we have Sarah Harris from the Black Business Association. We're going to be talking about creating a development paradigm for community ownership and control.
So how come you're not talking about my co-host, Crystal Mitchell, that's on here too?
Oh, what's because we're actually the community briefing is actually hosting it, and so we're bringing this panel to talk about the past.
Well, we need people to know too, because they're seeing all these photos on here. They're going, "Wait a second, I know those ones up there, but who is this down at the bottom?"
So Crystal Mitchell and Gregory Sneed and Robin Phillips.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who are the co-hosts of the community briefing, which is sponsored by and inspired by myself. The community briefing is sponsored by the BBA, this Recycling Black Dollars, as well as Chase and PCR. We are hosting this symposium, so we're going to be talking about what's happening on the Crenshaw corridor. So we want you to go on and register. You can go over to the community briefing site. You can go to Recycling Black Dollars site. You can go to my site on Facebook. You can reach out to me. There is a link out there so you can participate online. If you're in the real estate industry and a real estate professional, you can reach out. We have a in-person forum for you if you want to be part of the Q&A in the panel, which is more for those in the real estate space. But reach out to us. So we're going to be having a conversation on preserving Black heritage while advancing Black enterprise and communities. So we'd love to have you out. It's going to be a great conversation. One of the first of the conversations next, we're going to be talking about Black banking, everything to do with preserving and creating wealth in our community.
That's beautiful.
Awesome. So May 18th. So go over to our Facebook.
Don't forget it. Don't forget
it. I will bring it up again next week. reach out to myself, Greg Sneed. Come over to the community briefing next week on Facebook. And we stream live every Thursday at 11 a.m. and find out what's happening in the community. This is a collaborative effort. I'm going to make Black folks do stuff together if it's the last thing that I do before I leave this planet. Because we are going to do some stuff together, Gilbert.
Beautiful.
We got to work together. And Fernando says he helps people with AI as well. Fernando, we all need, you and Gilbert and I need to get together.
Yeah.
And you, so you can help us, man, so we can make this happen. So let's have some conversation, Fernando.
For sure. For sure.
All righty, Gilbert, we ready to shut it down for today?
Oh, yeah. We're ready to shut this baby down, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Do remember to go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You don't have to pay anything. Subscription is free. So you go there and you hit the subscribe button. Like this video as well, guys. Like the video. Hit the like button. Say, hey, I like this show, like this video, and we can provide you more content and more special guests coming on to talk about some of your issues.
And tell a friend, share it, and subscribe. And we will see you guys all next week with another. Next week we have Becky Lou from. Is she still with the Art Lebeau?
Yeah, she's with the Art Lebeau music program.
Okay.
And she's from one of those chambers. I think it's the. I don't want to say High Desert Hispanic Chamber. It's one of those. I don't remember.
So she's going to be with us next week. So come out and join us. We have a guest, and then we have another guest the following week after that. We have Dr. Tana Session. She is a HR guru in the human employment space. So come on out, and we're still celebrating National Small Business Month, as well as Mother's Mental Health Month, and as well as my birthday month.
That's right.
So just come on out and visit us, and go over to our YouTube channel and support us. So with that, we are out. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Fernando. Fernando, we're gonna have to schedule a time for us all to get together and find out what your skills are and how we all can work together.
That's right.
We want to wish you guys a great weekend. Be safe out there. Enjoy yourself. And we will see you all back at this same channel next Friday.
Next Friday, guys.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman.